It's time now for County-Wide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day and welcome to the program. It is County-Wide. Brad Miller with you, and we're happy to welcome into the studio a guest, a face and a voice that'll be familiar to many, especially of our Verde Valley viewers and listeners. Mike Casson is a former retired chief with the Cottonwood Fire Department. 17 years as chief before retiring in May of 2012, and so we say good day to you, sir.
Good day, sir.
Good to have you here. We've visited many, many times over the years here. You've been retired for about a year or so.
Yes, sir.
But something you're still involved in, and the reason we've got you in here today is that you are still a board member with the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association and have been involved with that organization for quite a while, right?
I think I first joined in 1981.
In 81.
In 81,
so
yeah.
going back for a time. And the Fire Chiefs Association, we've talked with Chief Casson in the past a little bit about it. We're going to kind of focus on it today, and specifically the involvement that the association had with the Yarnell Hill Fire. And I don't think we need to recount for anybody exactly what that was and the devastation that is still being felt in our community. Let me, just for the audience's sake, in a nutshell, the association is called the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, and one of the things that you do, or what the group is focused on, is assisting kind of the upper brass, the battalion chiefs, the chief of department. Is that right? Is that what the group's about?
That's exactly it. That's one of our components. Our mission is to provide educational development support, networking opportunities, training, and anything that we can do to help the betterment of the chiefs throughout the state of Arizona.
Sure. And that includes support in tough times.
Absolutely, to the point of even establishing a local assistance team that travels to communities where disaster has struck and provide that support to chief officers. And our last team actually provides support to family members and the department when there's line of duty deaths too.
Right. Well, certainly there hasn't been a tougher time ever than recently, and it seems like the resources of, well, Prescott certainly, but you know, Yarnell has a fire department.
Yes.
We maybe in all of this we kind of get lost. You know, we lost the hot shot crew, the majority of them, but we don't kind of think, and when I say we, I think those of us kind of on the outside looking in about just what a huge ripple that is and is going to continue to be forever, but certainly for the short term. Can I ask you, you've been involved in this incident, how's it going? I mean, what is the sense? And I'm not going to ask you about specific folks. I do want to say Chief Fryho over there, to me, appeared to be the absolute epitome of grace under pressure.
Absolutely.
I've never seen anybody with that kind of mantle put on his shoulders handle things seemingly so well. We don't know what it's like on the inside, and I'm not going to intrude on anybody's lives by asking that, Chief, but in a general sense, how are the guys doing?
They're in a lot of pain.
Sure.
They are still suffering. You know, these were their people. These were the people that were you know, they were in charge of these crews. They developed these crews. They put these teams together. They're family. You know, the fire service is family. Yeah. And you know these people intimately. And it isn't just the firefighters you know, but it's the families and the things like that. And when tragedy strikes like it does, it hurts everybody. Yeah. But I think the leadership in the fire service recognizes the importance of they have to stay strong and they have to continue to make sure their fire department runs. They have to make sure these families are taken care of. They have to make sure that the members in their departments get through this thing, and they have to stand strong. And it's a very difficult thing to do, but you just recognize that's what you're charged with and that's what you do. Yeah. And having a support network behind the scenes, kind of propping them up and helping them through it and letting them know, hey, you got a peer support group here that if you need to get away from this a little bit, come sit down and talk with us. You know, give yourself a chance to diffuse a little bit. And that's what we do. We provide that help to them. And it isn't just in the Prescott Fire Department, but you look at the impact that it had on Chino Valley and Central Yavapai, because those people are all involved in the firefight. They have relatives who lost their lives in this thing. And then you go into the small communities like Yarnell and Peoples Valley and those number of smaller departments down there. When that fire went through Yarnell, it devastated that community, and the only ones that are left in the community is the fire department because it's been evacuated. And they have to live and see that devastation for, in this case, a week or two at a time before anybody comes back in and helps them out. And so we went to the community, hooked up with the fire chiefs in those communities, and just sat down, talked with them, shared some thoughts with them, offered them any kind of help they needed. As much as Yarnell had a fire station that was out, had no power for the first few days that they were there, and they said, "Can you get us some electricity?" We've got some sources. We chased it down through Yavapai County Emergency Management, got them a generator, and they were back in service. And they said, we've only got a staff of full-time people, of 4 people, and we're still trying to work on hotspots, take care of things in the community, and the phone's ringing off the hook. Can you get us some administrative help down here? We've got an administrative section of the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, made contact with them. They rallied people from all over the state.
And you've given, I think, just a terrific snapshot of what the association does, because we've talked about it, and it's hard to say, well, we do this or we do that. Every time that the association is called upon, the situation, like any fire, is going to be different than the last time.
Absolutely.
And what's needed is going to be different than the last time. You told me one other time on a previous visit, we chatted about the association just a tiny bit, and you said sometimes it's just going out to lunch with the guy, meaning the chief or one of the top brass, or picking up his mail for him, or just taking him out for a drive, that it can be just that kind of getaway for a moment. Is that, do you see your role as continuing to be that?
Absolutely. We did that quite a bit in the smaller communities there. We also, one morning we just finally, I think it was 3 or 4 days into the event, we were able to get the whole chief officer staff from Prescott Fire Department just to come over and have a little breakfast in the little war room that we had set up, and just sit down and visit and hug and cry together and laugh together a little bit, and let them know that we're there, and walk away from it. If you need somebody to drive for you a while, great. If you want to go home, spend a little time with your wife, we'll cover for you. We had chief officers from around the state that actually covered in the Prescott Fire Department for several days.
I wanted to ask you about that, because we heard a little about that. I mean, it even extended into fire, where there were officers, 1 or 2 from, I think, even Flagstaff, Chino Valley, helping with Prescott PD, Rodeo Week, right then.
Absolutely.
But fire protection as well, just kind of helping. I heard one story where there was a crew from, everybody was out of town, but there was one Prescott fireman on the truck just to give directions.
That's what we did. That's how we set it up. Those first few days, we brought fire trucks. In fact, I think the first day we provided coverage for them, the 3 trucks that we had in town were from Sierra Vista, Fry, and Douglas. We start bringing them in from far away and then start working it down. But the Prescott Fire Department completely stood down, with the exception of 1 person on each fire engine to help us find our way around and take care of things. But we had fire engines from all over the state, as many as, I think the day of the memorial, there was something like 15 to 20 fire engines in, covering from across the state. The chief officers come down, Sedona, Sun City West, mayor. We had chief officers from all over just covering in the community. They were the duty officer of the day for them. Had those fire engines in, and then once that was all set up, and we worked in coordination with it was the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, the Arizona Fire District Association, and the PFFA worked together to get that staffing and get those fire engines in. And then the Arizona Fire Chiefs took over the responsibility for providing drivers of the vans that were taking families to the funerals. And that was a very difficult thing to do, because you really want to make sure you get the right person doing that.
You bet.
And we covered every one of the funerals that were in that area.
So the association's involvement was, as we would guess, and remains very, very deep. We need to take just a short break. Mike Casson is a retired fire chief from Cottonwood, current member, board member of the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association. We'll break for a moment. We'll be back right after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Move over, AZ. Arizona's move over law requires you to move over or slow down when you drive past any vehicle pulled over with flashing lights. Any vehicle means emergency responders, roadside assistance, law enforcement, highway crews, even stranded motorists. Ignore the law and you could pay a fine. Remember, every vehicle, every time. Move over, AZ.
Sponsored by ADOT in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Welcome back to the program. It is countywide. Mike Casson is here, and Chief is representing the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association. Chief Casson, of course, retired from Cottonwood last year after 17 years as fire chief for the city of Cottonwood Department. During the break, you said something. I'm going to ask you to repeat it for the listeners, that just the enormity of this is unprecedented, or not for a long, long time, and that everybody can lose perspective, from those directly involved to all of us at home that see it on TV and hear it on the radio, that it's almost too big to kind of comprehend. And when the association comes in, you and the association folks realize that. Well, I think you focus.
We do, because a number of us have been through these types of things before.
Yeah.
On both sides of the fence. And I think it's important. When you're trying to keep that perspective, the thing you're trying to do is make sure that the focus stays on the families. Those are the people that are suffering the most. Those are the people that need the help. Those are the people that need to know that there's a support system that's going to help them get through this. And then I think the next step is recognizing the pain and the impact it's having on the fire department. Not just the pain that they're feeling, but they've still got that responsibility to provide that coverage and response in their community. And of course the chief officers that are carrying that role of trying to get them through that. And then the impact it has specifically on that community. You know, this was all about the family, the Prescott Fire Department, and the city of Prescott.
Right.
They were the ones in order that were being hurt the most.
Right.
And then it expands out to everybody's hurting for it. We all want to help. We're all mourning through this thing. Right. All across, not just in this case, not just the Prescott Basin, the county, the state, but nationally. Right. And internationally in some cases, the impact that this has had. But it all comes right back down to taking care of the families. Yeah. And our role as Arizona Fire Chiefs Association is to help take care of the fire chiefs so that they can direct that effort to take care of the families, take care of the department and their community.
And here again, the analogy of a kind of a pebble into the pond and that ripple is how I heard what you just said, and that you've got the families right in the very middle of that, and obviously that first instinct of the chiefs and everybody in the department is going to be on the families, rightly so, and that's where it seems to have been. And it seems like on that is about the point where the association comes in and starts supporting what you called brothers at the beginning of the show, and helping those guys meaning the folks in the Prescott Fire Department deal with their own grief. There was still a fire going on. You know, we start to kind of forget some of these things. There was still a fire going on. It's still the height of the monsoon season, even as we record this program a couple of weeks later. So fire danger alleviating, but the work is still there, and you kind of forget about that. The world stops when something like this happens, and it couldn't. Nobody was given the time for it to stop for this or any other reason.
You get those local area chiefs in these smaller departments that haven't had a significant fire. They're not out fighting wildland fires across the state. They don't know what it's like to have an incident management team of the magnitude that we have come into the community and just consume the process. And making part of our charge is making sure that these fire chiefs get hooked in with the incident management team and the needs of that fire chief are being met, and that the incident management team is recognizing the needs of some of those smaller fire departments during those scary times. Those terrible.
How long, and I don't know that you'll even be able to answer this, but how long will the association remain involved with Prescott Fire Department, and how long will your group continue to help the chiefs and whoever may need it?
As long as we see a need for it, as long as they want the help, and it could go on for quite some time. I know after I was hooked up with Heber Overgaard Fire Chief during the Rodeo Chetaskai fire. And I still have a relationship with him. I still talk to him every once in a while. But it took a couple of years for that thing to normalize for him again. You know, these communities lose their assessed values, which is what dictates their income to provide that service for the community. That is impacted till they can get the community rebuilt. The pain and suffering when you have a line of duty death can go on for literally years. And I suspect that we'll be helping out with the Yarnell chief and some of those Prescott chiefs for years to come. It could impact for a very long time. And I think it's important, and the Chiefs Association does recognize this, now that all of the support systems that have been surrounding these people for the last 2.5 weeks now are going away. Now the reality sets in. Now is when it's more important for us to have that, take them to lunch, just go over there, give them a hug, and let them know that we're still there. If there's something that they need, if they want to talk about it, now is when it gets more difficult to continue that process, because all of the emotionalism is starting to fade away. But that fire chief over there and that wildland chief over there and those chief officers in that department are going to go through a very rough time. The finger pointing is going to start. The tough questions are going to be asked, and they need to know that somebody still believes in them.
And that's the role of the association.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take another break. Our guest today is Mike Casson, Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, very deeply involved in the Yarnell Hill fire tragedy. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Here in northern Arizona and throughout Yavapai County, people count on Orkin Pest Control. With over 100 years of combined experience, nobody knows how to protect your home or your business from harmful or annoying pests like the Orkin Man. To start service, contact your Northern Arizona Orkin Pest Control. In the Verde Valley, call 567-5100 or Orkin Pest Control in the Prescott area at 775-8772.
Move over, AZ. Arizona's move over law requires you to move over or slow down when you drive past any vehicle pulled over with flashing lights. Any vehicle means emergency responders, roadside assistance, law enforcement, highway crews, even stranded motorists. Ignore the law and you could pay a fine. Remember, every vehicle, every time. Move over, AZ.
Sponsored by ADA in partnership with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and this station.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
We welcome you back to the program again. Mike Casson, Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, coming in today and sharing with us his experience as part of the association, very involved, and they remain so with the Yarnell Hill fire tragedy. Chief, we've kind of talked about the peer help, you know, chiefs helping chiefs and those kinds of things. But does the association offer, you know, professional counseling, people that have been trained in psychology or, you know, grief and things like that? Do you have folks that have that kind of, you know, training, specifically training?
Yeah, we've got our last team is specifically trained, not in dealing with a line of duty death, and all the way to dealing with family members and the psychological impacts of that.
Gotcha.
And our CISD teams that are involved in that. These people have been trained through the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation,
okay,
and they specifically deal with making sure that the families are taken care of and that everything is done according to what's necessary for these to get the benefits and the support that they're going to get. And a big component of that is psychological support.
You bet.
And helping people come through that. We've got chaplains and we've got psychologists who are members of our last team,
okay,
that go in specifically on these line of duty death situations. So there's some professional support there. And if we don't have it in our system, we know where to go find it,
right, and
get it in there for those family members that are really struggling with, for those department members that are really struggling to get through these things. And as I said a moment ago, this is going to be long term. I mean,
yeah,
what I went through 40 years ago still had an impact and brings tears to our eyes when we get together during certain occasions. And
right,
and this what happened in Prescott brought back a lot of pain, a lot of memories, and
sure,
sometimes people need that help for many years to come.
And undoubtedly they will in this situation. And we'll get it from the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association. Mike Casson, retired Chief, Cottonwood, 17 years under that hat. You were a firefighter for your entire career, and we appreciate that. And we do appreciate you joining us again today. I want to tell you very quickly, coming up next week, a two-part program. A couple of folks from the Yarnell Hill Fire Recovery Group. The Yarnell Hill Recovery Group is what they're called. We've already recorded that, so we've chatted with them. Fascinating folks, and they are coming back, and you'll hear about it next week on Countywide. We thank you. We'll join you. We'll hope that you'll join us then. Thanks a lot.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.